So when it comes to establishing your demographic, what is most important is that once you've made a decision about your brand, you try to stay within that lane. So what that might mean for you is, are you a luxury line? Meaning, is the presence of your brand marketed towards a luxury audience? And if so, does the pricing, packaging, language, design, market and affect and impact as a luxury level? If it doesn't, and say some aspects are luxury, but maybe your language or your packaging is not, you will create a temperamental result to your company. So if you're going for luxury, you have to make sure that every single element on your decision-making process aims and targets towards luxury. If you're going for accessibility, you're actually broadening your audience, which I really recommend. I think for most entrepreneurs, being in a moderate market actually expands your marketplace. And as we all know, it's really hard to start a business and to really be successful, profitable, find our margins and really grow. And so if you get into that moderate price point, sure, there is a bigger competitive market, but you also have more accessibility and you have a little bit more room for error in things like your learning curve of package, language, and the way you present yourself as a business. So really, I'd say the first thing when it comes to making choices around your marketing is decide who you are and stay in your lane. Great question. So once you've established what your demographic is going to be, what's most important is that you then look for marketing outlets that match your demographic. And as we all know, marketing budget is incredibly important and impactful, and it can be hard to come by. So what you want to do is try to find these outlets that match your fan base or who you're trying to attract. So if you are a luxury brand, you want to go into a luxury marketplace for marketing, meaning you want to be on the high-end blogs, you want to get into high-end placements for magazines, you want your curated social media to represent a very high-end following that's going to attract that very discerning luxury market eye. If you're more accessibly placed in the marketplace, you'll want to be, you have a little bit more options available for you. So using tools such as your social media, again, it's still getting bloggers, but it's who matches you, whose brand reflects your brand, and partnering with them. A lot of people rely on social media such as Instagram and Facebook, but those are just two tools on a list of very many tools that we use to market a big company. Well, absolutely. I think one of the things that everyone who has a product or business is looking for is lead generation. And when you're generating leads, and you're, especially as a small business or as a startup, you're looking for free outlets. How do we connect to our fans? How do we help people to find us? And as we know, Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat have been, blown up because everyone's realized that they have a direct-to-consumer marketplace. But how actionable are those leads is the question you should be asking yourself. If you're spending a ton of time and output building a social media presence with whatever platform you're choosing, are you getting a return? Meaning, are you creating a conversation with your audience that's asking them to come back and have a conversation with you, or are they seeing it and moving on? So the conversation around social media is not, am I putting enough out? It's, am I actually engaging? So we don't really care about having a wide net as much as we care about having a deep net. And if you can establish a deep net in social media, meaning audience is truly engaged. If you ask a question, they answer. They should be responding to you. Their messages should be responding to you. And it should actually, if you put out a call to action, it should turn into a sale. If it's not happening that way, you might want to evaluate how you're using your social media channels and is it really effective for your business right now. Well, I was a hairstylist in a small town in Colorado, and then ultimately Denver, Colorado. And when I moved to New York City, I was looking for a really great experience. I kind of had a big ambition about what it was going to mean to be a hairstylist in New York City, I think as a lot of people do. And having been in a really great salon in Colorado for about 7 years, that was very family-oriented and culture-oriented. When I got to New York City, I found it to be a bit of a culture shock, to be honest, because I think what was missing was real connectivity to clients and to team. and it was a really competitive hair market here. And so as a young hairstylist, I got here and I worked at a couple of very reputable salons. And I have to say, I had what I call my Devil Wears Prada experience, which was highly disappointing as a young stylist who had so much enthusiasm to work in such a hierarchical environment that really didn't respect the culture of beauty and the fact that we're really here to make people feel wonderful. So I decided pretty quickly that I wanted to venture out on my own, and I think what I really learned was that I wanted to take some of the attributes I've learned from New York City, which is just this really exceptional high level of education and hair outcome, but the culture of this family salon that I grew up in, and intertwine them. And that's really how Fox & Jane was born. Since then, I have launched 9 salons since 2011, including Little Lion. We are in San Diego, Colorado. I have a wonderful team of partners and leaders around me, so I don't do it by myself, but that's my story. I went from being a full-time stylist for about 15 years to CEO, and we now have 120 wonderful employees and growing. What's funny about it is, as you travel region to region, and that could be New York to Boston or the Midwest, Chicago, every salon is different. And one of the things I've really learned in mastering New York City, which, I mastered New York City, I really believe I have. I mean, we have a reputation here that our clients know we care, and we have a lot of them, and it's tough to get in with us, but that's because we really take care of every single person that walks through the door. So I believe there can be threads of things that absolutely work in every city, but there are always subtle differences. We even find from our San Diego location to our New York location drastic differences on how the hair marketplace wants to receive us as a business, what the expectations of customers are, what the trends are. To Colorado, or as I travel, I do travel the world, and one of my favorite things is to get a blowout in every city. You'll see and you'll interact with stylists who say that wherever you go, you'll find there are similarities, but there's always a little bit of a difference. And I think my biggest piece of advice would be, instead of going in and telling them what you know, in any environment, take a minute and observe, because you'll learn so much. So for me, when I go into a situation where I'm encountering a new marketplace or a new demographic or even a new hairstylist, I'll see what I can try to learn from them about their way and pick something up on my travels.